Hey everybody, I am over here in Fiji and just chilling watching the sunset, and I wanted to talk about my journey through music. I had a comment from one of my YouTube videos recently from the Bowl of Soul, and they said, "Hi David, thanks for the great info. I'm curious to learn more about your journey of developing into a musician, performing as a full-time career. What are the stages you went through and some of the steps you took? Thanks." So I thought this would be a perfect place to sit and kind of go through that. I started playing the guitar when I was 14 and I just loved it. I saw a guy, I think I've mentioned this in some of the other videos, I saw a guy, Carlos at our school, playing a Third Eye Blind song, and something just clicked in me that I wanted to do that and play music. And it was more about the reaction that you could create, the emotion, the group culture that essentially that Carlos created by singing a song and having a group of people join in and sing. So that's when I started. I just loved the guitar, so I played all the time, genuinely all the time. Intervals at school, lunchtime, I'd go and twiddle around on the guitar, and I'd kind of come home and play the guitar. And I've always sung from when I was a kid, and then along the way I learnt a bunch of bad stuff, and I learnt some useful skills along the way, and I still practice and work at it now, and study and train and try and improve my skills. But I guess along the way I started learning songs. I started building a book of songs that I liked. I started writing some songs. They're probably awful. I don't think there's any copies of any of them, so you're saved from that. And I got my first gig, which was at Palmerston North Boys High School, courtesy of Graham Young. Thank you, Graham. And it was playing through all the school gear. I had a guitar at that stage, and it was playing for the sort of year 9 and 10 barbecue dinner, meet the parents, meet the teachers kind of evening. So that was my first gig. From there I started busking, and I earned reasonably good money from busking, getting eaten by an ant. I earned reasonably good money from busking, and I enjoyed playing songs and playing music, and turned up, and that was fun, and I played just whatever I wanted, whatever I'd learnt, which was a lot of Dave Matthews Band songs at that point, and John Mayer as well. And then I got approached by the manager at the local Starbucks to say, would you like to come and play every Friday? So that was my first official gig at a venue, and we played for, I think it was 2 hours. Richard and I as a duo bought a PA system so that we could do the gig, and I think we got paid $50 each and a stack of coffee that we drank while we were there, and that was really good fun. I really enjoyed that, and that had a flow-on effect. It kind of led on to other gigs. I still busked, and I did my first wedding when I was 17. Played at my first wedding. It was a vow renewal, and we played I Knew I Loved You by Savage Garden, which I'm pretty sure I sang terribly, so I apologise. But it got things started, and again, being out and playing more shows, it meant that more people saw me and heard me playing shows, and I guess it has this flow-on effect that if people enjoy it and you do your best every time as well as you can on the night, obviously your voice changes, your skills change, your repertoire change, and some things fit better than others, and you have some really great shows. You have some that you think, oh, maybe they weren't so great, but at the end of the day, it's not necessarily how I felt about the show, it's that the people there had a good time and enjoyed themselves. After that first wedding when I was 17, I studied classical guitar and went down and had 3 years in Wellington at Massey, and classical wasn't really me. I wanted to quit after the first year, and my dad persuaded me not to. And the skills were really good. It was excellent, and I met a bunch of great people. And actually, I think during that time, Mark Mazengarb and I did our first show. I found the video. Sorry about this, Mark. I'm going to add some of this in. I found the video of the show we did. It was one of the first shows I'd ever put on. We got a deal at my old high school in Palmerston North at the Boys High auditorium that had just been built after I'd left school. I think it seated 350 people, and we gave away tickets to the radio stations who agreed to give them away, but no one knew who we were. So I think 2 people came, like one double pass that we gave away, and we ended up with about 31 people I think at that show, in an auditorium of 350. So it was a very simple start, and that's one thing I have done along the way. If I have an idea I want to head in a certain direction, I've just been good about doing it. So maybe about 2 years ago I was like, right, I'm going to get some merch done, and I think that's time to do that. And I got a hat designed, and I got those hats printed, and if I only did a couple to test it out, I had to sell the hats for about $50 or $60. It just became expensive. So I jumped in, and I think I got 20 hats done, and to this day have not sold one of those very first hats. So that's okay. It led me to then develop the merch store that I have now, and that store has sold a bunch of stuff, and hopefully, I guess, not only it's sold a bunch of shirts and hats and things like that. My goal really was that hopefully it will help inspire other artists that when they wear it or have it, it's a cool bit of clothing, but also there's some stuff on there that I guess reflects my brand now about, you know, being a musician is a genuine profession, which sometimes it's not seen as still. But diving back, I went to uni, I studied classical guitar for 3 years, and during that time I started playing more restaurants, I did a few more functions, I just kept learning a bunch of songs, and improving my skills, both vocally as well as on the guitar. And I got into a lot of Tommy Emmanuel stuff and Chet Atkins, so some of the old folksy Burt Jansch. And I remember having my first guitar lesson in Wellington with Paulie Barner-Jones, and he was someone that I'd seen and looked up to for his great songwriting, great guy, amazing guitarist. And I remember I called him, I got his number from a friend, thank you Naomi, and I called him and said, hey, what are the chances while you're in town doing a show of being able to have a lesson with you? He said, yeah, great. Come down, we had an hour together, and I just remember being so pumped after that, being able to sit down. I'd learned all these new techniques and was buzzing, and my teacher, my classical teacher at university at the time, I went into my lesson with him maybe 2 days later, 3 days later, and he asked me how have I been going on all this classical stuff and the things I was supposed to be doing. And I was saying, oh, I caught up with Paulie Barner-Jones and it was great, and I learnt this and I learnt this. And he just had no interest. He was like, well, what have you done on this piece? And that was one of the reasons I really, uni wasn't the right fit for me. It was a case of I wanted to pursue and was passionate about pursuing certain styles of music and certain skills. And so as a result, I spent a lot of time doing that, where I spent enough time and worked at the classical thing, but it wasn't a passion for me. So I think that's something that's key if you're wanting to do music, is find an area that you're passionate in, or just it'd be like life advice now. Find something you're passionate about, and you'll do the work for it. Man, this is stunning. I seriously feel very lucky to be here right now. So anyway, I did a bunch of that, and after uni I took 6 months and went and worked at a supermarket and still played the guitar and learnt a bunch of stuff and had a little band over in Australia, and that was fun. And then came back to New Zealand and still played guitar, and I started teaching for a while, started teaching guitar lessons, and I ended up doing that full time with shows and restaurants and cafes and bars kind of on the side. So I taught guitar for about 4 years and then moved up to Auckland. I'd recently gotten married, and we moved up to Auckland, and I got a job and still taught guitar in the evening, so I had a job and was teaching at night as well. And it was a bit of a stressful time, pretty exhausting. I wasn't playing for me anymore. It was very much just, I need to work, I need to earn a lot of money to pay for rent in Auckland, and I need to teach guitar lessons and teach whatever the kids or students that were coming to me wanted to learn. And so I lost a lot of passion for music, I guess, during that time as well, and I basically stopped playing for myself. Anyway, down the track we ended up splitting and separating, and I went to my first open mic night at that time, met a really good buddy of mine, Simon, that night, and that just really re-kicked in a lot of music for me, and a lot of that passion and enthusiasm for playing and singing came back. And I had a bunch of good times running some open mic nights around Auckland, and I started to connect in with a bunch of other musicians in Auckland. And from there, I guess, as I played a lot of different open mic nights, I met a lot of different people, and it then meant that I could I started getting gigs and I started picking up some work. So I quit my job not long, maybe 2 or 3 months after that open mic night, and I had no gigs lined up. I hadn't really met a lot of people at that stage. So I went busking at 8 a.m. the very next morning after quitting, and I made $100 in about 2 hours and was really quite proud of myself, I think. And I remember I just went home and I didn't do anything else for that day. I thought that was really good. And I went the next day still a bit nervous about whether I'd make money or not. And it was about similar at a cool little spot in Countdown in Sunnynook. And so yeah, I started to relax a little bit, realizing that I could make money through this craft that I'd spent so many hours on already. And then, as I say, built up a different bunch of gigs and shows along the way. During that whole process, I was writing my own songs and doing that, and I had won some recording time just before going to Auckland, and recorded 90% of my first album, which is Dreamer. And then after leaving my job in 2010, I went down back to live in and finished off that recording with Tsunami Sound Studios, and that was great. I managed to release that, had a release party, a little launch, and it was good. I started doing some festivals. I did the Tauranga Acoustic Music Festival, was I think the kind of first one, and started turning up to a few more of those. And then over that time I've done 3 or 4 tours of New Zealand now, and again I've put those on. I've gone, right, I want to do a tour. Some of them have been awful, some of them have been really good, and some of them have just quite honestly been quite stressful trying to make it all happen. But it has been, my approach has been like, right, I want to do a tour. Okay, let's just start. I don't know anything about this. I'm going to call a venue and say, hey, I'd love to come and do a show. Is there a normal arrangement that you guys have, or what can we work out, and just worked it out from there. So it's been very cool. It's been an interesting process, and a very much a challenging and growth process at each point along the way. And I think now, at least in Auckland, I've got a cool, I guess, reputation or connections that know what I do and like having me play and entertain, and hopefully bring in and draw a crowd or promote different things. And I'm moving back to doing a lot more of my own writing, which I haven't done the last 3 or 4 years, of my own writing and looking at releasing and doing more original shows again, which would be great. I really like escaping to islands and cool destinations and taking a break and being able to write and think, and it's really nice to chat to you guys. I really appreciate all of you that watch these videos, and I hope they inspire. I hope whoever the bowl of soup is, whoever you are, that I hope this answers some questions, and maybe there's something in it that, you know, is useful for you in terms of your career and journey through music. Mine's going to keep evolving, and I'm going to keep writing, and I'm sure along the way I'll get excited about different things and maybe move in a different direction. But yes, at the moment I keep coming back to acoustic guitar and kind of folksy sort of styles and things like that. So I hope this has been a useful video for you. I am gonna sit here and chill out and check out this amazing view. And check this out, I'm gonna change this so that you can see. How good is that? It's amazing. So I just packed up and thought I'd finished, and there's a lot of things that I missed out in that first section of, you know, my journey through music. After I quit working and started being a professional musician. Let's say I was a full-time musician to begin with, and I became a professional maybe later down the track. Still working on that, but I did a bunch of work with a bunch of country artists, and I got nominated for the Horizon Award, New Zealand Country Music Association Horizon Award, and I got nominated for that twice, which was very honoured to have had that nomination twice, and the Pat McMinn Rising Star Award, and I didn't win any of those awards. So at one stage I think I was the most nominated person not to have won it, but you know, that's an interesting title to claim. But out of that I did get to do a duet live on stage at one of Brian White's concerts with him, Grammy Award winner, and a super cool dude. I really valued that, and those things, I guess, along the way, the little moments gave me motivation to keep working, keep doing more music, keep pursuing things, keep trying, keep writing. And also there's a bunch of people along the way: Graham Young when I was at Boys High, Des Lynch when I was teaching at Taurua College, and a bunch of people at shows. There's a heap of you, I wish I could name you all, that have come up and said something, some encouragement, something regarding my music that's helped me push forward and move on. Alex Tucker as well, when I released my first album, Dreamer, there's a note that I still keep from her that really helps me, I guess, kind of refocus and realize that if I've had a bad day or things aren't working, I do provide value to people, and there's something that I have, some gift that through a lot of hard work and sore fingers and vocal exercises contributes a lot to people when I sing and play. So it's pretty cool. I've released now 3 albums and a few singles and things as well, and they're all on Spotify. You can find them and that sort of thing. And then every now and then I get to go on some cool adventures, all through playing music and practicing the guitar and singing, and I probably should do some more fitness right now. So, final note from me for this video as I stand at the top of Mana Island in Fiji. And if you're watching this, if you've watched this whole video, then thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate that. And I hope you've gotten something out of this. My final comments are, go and do the thing that you enjoy. Go and do what you love. Give it a shot. Keep working at it. And if you have an idea, just see who you can connect with and invite those people around that are going to encourage you to give it a shot. You might fail. You might fail several times. I have, a lot of times along the way. But in a funny way, all those failures have been a little improvement, a little step forward. The shows that I've thought, oh, man, that was terrible, I've learned something from and been like, okay, I need to learn this, or I need to get better at that, I need to be able to engage with an audience, or all those kind of things. So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this has been useful. Feel free to comment below if you've got any bits and pieces. I'm probably going to edit into this a bunch of cool shots from here of swimming in the pool and playing around and just having a good time in tropical Fiji. I would love to come and do a show somewhere near you, so maybe we'll see each other in the future. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.